So, hello everybody. My name is Jake. I'm in my second year at St Catherine's College. I study French and linguistics, um, and I'm currently am in a town called Starport, which is not too far from Birmingham in the Midlands in England. So, I've been asked to answer a few questions. I've been given a list, and I've kind of chosen the ones that I think have the most to say about. So, we'll jump into it now. It mainly focuses on my kind of experiences as a student and what general university life is like. So yeah, the first one is what are tutorials like? So I think the first thing to note is that tutorials are what make Oxford quite individual compared to lots of other universities. It's basically you, another fellow student, maybe a third one as well, and just the tutor, and you sit and you just talk about a piece of work that you submitted. In my case, it's an essay um, about a particular topic, and we just kind of go into detail about it, talk about what we put in our work, what we could have done better maybe, and just also going off on lots of little tangents, talking about whatever. I think an important thing to note is that different tutors have very different styles, and there isn't one tutorial that's the same as any other. Um, Different tutors will maybe like try and drag you along a sort of thread, a train of thought, to lead you in a particular direction. Others will just kind of let you and let everybody kind of go into their different directions and talk about whatever and just give kind of interesting topics to go into further detail about, maybe when we're doing revision later on or when we're doing further reading. Um, and I think that's what's really fun about it, the fact that you can go into any one given tutorial and know that it's going to be something completely different. That's kind of what provides the excitement in a way. This next question is what hobbies do you do? So the hobby that I did was joining an improvised comedy troupe. Uh, I remember seeing at the Freshers' Fair, where there are loads of stalls for different societies, that there was a comedy group that were offering workshops, and I just showed up because I wanted to try out something to do with comedy. Um, and ultimately, at the end of the first term, they did auditions. I ended up going for it, and I got accepted into the troupe. And so I've been able to do loads of really fun comedy shows. I've met some amazing people doing it, and I've even been to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival last summer, which was an experience I wouldn't have thought I would have been doing before I arrived at university. So yeah, Oxford does offer a lot of niche kind of societies and hobbies that suits anybody's tastes or wants, and I think that's a really important thing to know. Um, Next question here is why did I choose Oxford? Um, I think um, a lot of it came down to just visiting open days, talking to tutors, and seeing that everybody like really passionately spoke about both the place and the subject, and just kind of getting captivated by that. Um, I knew that it was within my reach. It didn't really occur to me that I could apply until sixth form, um, and so I just put in an application, hoping for the best, and somehow miraculously I kind of got through with it. Yeah, I think that was just the main thing, being so captivated by the way people spoke, and then just being in the city and the kind of atmosphere it imposed on you. That was really impressionable. Um, so yeah, another question that kind of ties into that is, did you have any misconceptions of the university before you came? Um, Being from a working class background, I didn't really have conceptions. I kind of had vague ideas about Oxford, and I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be nothing like I've ever experienced before, given my background. But actually, um, that was really trumped just by meeting so many people that are exactly like me from very similar backgrounds, and also seeing such a relaxed atmosphere. It wasn't like a kind of uptight, like posh environment where you had to always be speaking about really posh things or show that you really know stuff. It like everybody is just people just the same, and I think that was a really pleasant experience. Kind of finding out that I'm not like the odd one out in this kind of system. And the last thing here is, what advice would you give to someone applying to Oxford? So I think the main thing to point out is just you should just go for it. It doesn't matter where you're from, whatever your background is. If you're really passionate about the thing that you want to learn about, if you feel like you could talk about it for days on end to your mates or to your family or whatever, um, just go for it. Because if you think that it's within your reach, if it's something that you can do, then chances are you probably can do it. It's Jake. Now I'm going to answer a few questions about St Catherine's College and my experiences, kind of more specifically as a student at the college rather than at the university in general. So the first one is, did you pick cats? And unfortunately, I have to fess up and say that I didn't. I actually applied to Balliol College the first time around. Um, and to be honest, I didn't actually know that cats existed. I don't think when I put in my application on my UCAS form. I don't think it's like one of the most well-known colleges, which is quite weird actually, because it is the biggest college. I think it has the most undergraduates. Um, but yeah, so I actually applied to a different college, but I got interviewed at CAT. I got interviewed at three separate places: Balliol, St Hugh's, and CAT. And it was St Catherine's that made me an offer when the day came round. Question here: how would you describe the atmosphere? Yeah, open and kind of welcoming. It's quite weird, really, because, like I mentioned, it's the biggest college. You know, there's 500 people in undergraduates in the college whole. 130 odd maybe in a year, but people all kind of vaguely know each other, and everybody gets on. There's no like cliqueiness. There's no like separation of groups. It's not like people go off and do their own things. People are generally kind of knowledgeable of each other, and they're happy to have conversations with one another. And events are always very mixed. There's always lots of people doing lots of different things, and yeah, it kind of makes it feel like a very warm community, I suppose. And then the last one here is: are you a part of any college societies or committees? So yes, well, I used to be. I've handed it on now. I used to be the class rep on the JCR committee. The JCR committee being the kind of body of student representatives that represent undergraduates at the college level. And I was the class rep, so I represented working class, low income, state school and first generation undergraduates at the college. Of course, college also has lots of other societies and other committee roles that you can get in a part of. So if you're not concerned about like all the admin stuff, there isn't just the committee stuff. There's also the societies. There's lots of sports. And this is just within the college. Like there are also university level things, but within the college, there's a lot going on. So yeah, very busy college and a lot of fun. So yeah, Jake, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about my subject at Oxford and answer a few questions about them. So the first question is, what do you study? I study French and linguistics. I think an important thing to note about that is that they're not part of the same faculty. I'm actually part of the modern languages faculty and the linguistics faculty. They are treated separately. Some people like that fact. It kind of shows that linguistics is its own separate thing and it's not kind of directly linked to French, but at the same time, it's not like there's no kind of correspondence between them whatsoever. For example, now that I'm in my final years, I am doing papers on the history of French and the structure of French, so French linguistics. So the first year, it's called prelims because it's named after the preliminary examinations that you do at the end of the first year. And it's basically a kind of foundational thing where, say, for example, for literature, there are 10 texts that you study from a wide range of periods to kind of give you a taster and a sample of what you can do. There's also some general language stuff, so stuff to do with translation and stuff to do with grammar, and also just kind of reading and interpreting text. And so you do that first year, you do your exams for linguistics. Those exams include like kind of general linguistics, phonetics and phonology and grammatical analysis, so all to do with like how linguists study sounds in languages and how they study grammar and the construction of languages in that way. It's good in a way because it's very foundational, especially given that the chances are you probably won't have any linguistic formal education before you actually get to start studying your degree. So it kind of brings everybody up to a same level. And then after that, everybody goes and starts to choose their own topics. So yeah, I think that about does it. All right then, cool. Thank you very much.